In our previous lecture, we discussed that our first step would be segregation. So here you can see we are going to segregate this component into three different forms, which is customer, vehicle, and other information. Now, why are we segregating? Because if one more forms comes into play, then we will create a separate component and we are not going to mess up the existing code. Let's go to the VS Code. So here I have created three components: customer, other, and vehicle. In the customer component, you can see I have created a form, injected form builder, and then I am creating form with initially blank value. So also exposing the getters, email, telephone, address. And if you go to the HTML, this is simple form. We bind the form and form control with respective form fields. Similarly, we did for the other component. Again, we created the form, then injected form builder, the same steps, and similarly it is done for the vehicle. Now we are going to create one more component, which is good design component, and it will hold all three components. So if we go to the HTML, here this is header and divider. After that, we are going to put customer, vehicle, and other component here, and in the footer we have three buttons: save, discard, and refresh. Now let's fill the form. We will go to the TS file, and here we will inject the services into the constructor. So first we are going to inject data service, then activated route service, and third one is write service. Now we are going to declare a method, declare stream. Now we are going to deal in observables only. We will not declare the variables and store the data into those variables, because state management is one of the issues. So here we will take the reactive approach. We will declare the observable for every data we need. So first we will read the data from activated route. So activated route dot params is an observable. We are going to map the ID and return it or store it into a local ID dollar variable. Here we are going to get order ID from route. Then we are going to declare writes dollar observable. We are going to get the data from write service, calling the get writes method, and then we are going to receive the order data using the ID dollar observable. So here you can see from ID dollar, which is derived from the activated route dot params, we are going to get order ID, and once we receive the order ID, we are going to call data service dot get order data, and we are using the concat map operator. So in my previous lectures, I already explained how higher order operator works. Basically this will flatten out this observable, and we are going to receive the order data and not the observable of order data. Next, we are going to, once we receive the order data, we are going to declare all three observable stream which depends upon order data. So here customer data, vehicle data, and other data, this depends upon the order data stream. So once we receive the order data, again we are going to use concat map higher order operator, and we are going to get customer, vehicle, and other information data. Now we have all the information available in the form of stream. Now one of the requirement is we need to show the loader until we receive the data. So how can we do that? One way is we can subscribe this customer data, and in the subscription we are going to subscribe vehicle data, and then in the vehicle subscription we are going to call other data. But again, this is not a very good approach because it will result into callback hell. So how can we do that? So RxJS provide one powerful operator, which is fork join, and in one of my lecture I already explained how fork join works. So basically it will take all the observables that we want to finish in parallel. So customer, vehicle, and other, these API will be called in parallel, and once all the APIs are completed, then we are going to get the data here in the form of array. So we can leverage this customer, vehicle, and other information response, and we can assign our variable and proceed. And as of now we are going to map it into observable of boolean, so that we come to know that our observable, the data is we received all the data, so declare data dollar, which is observable boolean, and this is derived from the fork join. Now let's implement the loader. Let's go to the HTML. Here we are going to use ng template and ng container. There is separate lecture how this ng container and ng template work. Now we are going to wrap all three components into ng container. Now basically this code is doing until we receive all the data, we are going to show this loading, which is met progress bar, and once we receive the data, we are going to show these three components. So let's save it and go to the TS file, and we should implement ng on init method, and we are going to call this declare stream method. Let's save it and open it into browser. It is getting reloaded, and here in the console you can see order data API is called thrice, customer vehicle and other information data API is also called, but we are not displaying the form. So let's see what is the problem. Let's go to the VS Code. If we look at fork join, then here fork join will only complete when all the observables which are part of this fork join are completed. So let's have a look. Customer data is calling this get customer data, which is API. So this is called observable, and it is depending upon order data. Similarly, vehicle data is calling API, or other data is calling API, and all three depends upon order data, and order data is again calling get order data, which is again an API which is called observable, but this is depending upon ID dollar here. So ID dollar is observable made out of activated route dot params, and this observable is not completed. So to complete it, we are going to use take one operator, and as soon as we do it, let's save and go to the UI. So here you can see in the console order data is calling three times, and then customer vehicle other info API are called, and the fork join is completes. So still we have one more problem, that order data API is calling three times. So let's go to the VS Code. Let's see what is the reason behind it. And if you look at here, fork join is made up of three observable, customer vehicle and other, and these three depend upon the order data. So here you can see this is called three times, customer vehicle and other, and that's why we have 3 log for the order data API. So how to avoid it? There is one more RxJS operator that we are going to use. We will use share, and as soon as we done, what it will do, it will convert this cold observable to hot observable, which means it will share the value. And let's save it and go to the UI. And you can see the order data API is called only once. All right, now let's fill the form with the data that we receive from the API. So let's go to the VS Code, and here in the wrapper component we are going to declare 3 behavior subject for customer vehicle and other info, and the default value for each of the subject is the default object of customer vehicle and other info. So we are doing it using the new keyword, and in the fork join we are using this subject and emitting the value that we receive from the fork join. All right, if we go to the HTML file, here every component has data dollar observable input property, and we are assigning these subject which is also acts as a observable for it to these properties. And if we go to the customer component, then here we are having a data dollar which is observable of customer as input property of this component, and on ng on init hook we are subscribing it. So here we are passing the data that we receive from this observable to the create form method, and here we are assigning the values using this object. So let's save the detail and go to the browser, and let's see. let's wait. Order data, API, and all. Once we receive the data, this will be displayed here. So let's do it for vehicle and other information as well. All right, the same thing is done for the vehicle and other information. So let me show it to you here. Again, we are emitting the vehicle and other info data, and in the component we are subscribing the observable and assigning the values to the form. Now let's implement the footer, but before that we need to fix the CSS for the footer. So let me change. Okay, now that is done. And if we go to the HTML, and here we implement click handler. So save, discard, and refresh. Let me save it, and we go to the TS file. Now you can see the refresh is very much easy. So we are just going to call declare stream method, where all the streams will be declared again, and then it will be called. And in the discard, what we are going to do, we get the latest value from the behavior subject using this get value method, and we are just emitting from this discard. And in the save button, we will implement little later. As of now, I have used a hard code value, so let me save it. Okay, and let's go to the browser. All right, so let me refresh. Okay, so refresh is working fine. Let me check discard. Okay, so discard is also working fine. Now we have segregated all three components, and these are dumb components. The reason is these components are getting value from parent and just displaying it. So one optimization can be done, that we can use the change detection strategy as OnPush. So let's use it. Change detection strategy dot OnPush. All right, so let's see how it works. Let's go to the browser. We have made, right, so on discard this is not working. We made the changes in pin field on the customer, and since this customer component is implementing OnPush change detection strategy, it didn't work on discard. And the reason is, in this component we are using this observable as input, and the reference of this input is not going to change when we emit the value from the parent. And in OnPush change detection strategy, references are compared. So since reference has not been changed, that's why that is not reflected. So to solve this issue, we need to use it with async pipe. So let's see how can we do that. We will remove the subscription. So let me do it here. First we will declare it and remove the subscription, and in the HTML file we are going to use async pipe. So here we are going to use anchi container, and we will wrap this container around the form, and we will use async pipe. So let's save and go to the UI. Data is loaded. Let's wait. Okay, so let me make some changes here, and if we click on discard, this is going to work. So let me make the same changes in vehicle and other information component also. Now all the components implement OnPush change detection strategy, and if we make any change here, and we click on the discard, so you can see it works fine. Okay, so far we have done segregation, reactive programming, and optimization using OnPush change detection strategy. So we will continue refactoring our component into next part. Also, I have account on Medium where I write technical blogs on Angular, so you can have a look. Apart from it, I have published a course, Angular Practical, on Udemy, where it deals with many practical problems and solutions. RxJS, best practices, design pattern, and performance. And you can avail this course with this coupon code, which is Rama2024, and now it is available on its lowest possible price. So let's meet in the next lecture.